don't know how to say this word, so I'm just going to pretend that I know how to say it. But
Eukaryotes.
Eukaryotes? All right. Here's another interesting thing.
I'm not doing it.
Now they're going to tell you that this is how evolution of the cell began.
I'm not doing it.
Eukaryotes are different from other cells because they have a nucleus which contains the cell's DNA and blah, blah, blah. At first, all eukaryotes were single-celled and many still are today. What? If many still are today, then that would support the theory that they have never changed, that they have always been as they are today.
Fine.
Not that they started someplace else and then are here, but they were always this and still are today.
The video you're watching is by Megan Fox, who has the most magical power of ignorance on her side. Don't bother trying to comment on the video or rate it, because she's disabled both. Guess she doesn't think her constant rambling and lack of knowledge can stand up to any criticism. Okay, Megan, listen. While I don't entirely agree with the wording of the plaque, the person who wrote it was obviously giving a simple overview of the difference between prokaryotes and eukaryotes. It's explaining that all organisms were once single-celled and had no nucleus, and then later evolved into multicellular organisms, like you and I. Also, you've already demonstrated that you don't know the first thing about cell biology. It almost sounds like you're making the, if we came from monkeys, why are there still monkeys argument.
This makes no sense. No sense. Living and extinct, this is not single-celled, including you, everything is made up of eukaryotic cells. Well, then doesn't that suggest that everything was made up of eukaryotic cells in the beginning? Also, that they weren't something else that became eukaryotic cells, that they are always and have been eukaryotic cells? None of this makes any sense. It doesn't make sense to a 5th grader. It doesn't make sense to a 3rd grader. It doesn't make sense to a 30-year-old. None of this makes any sense.
To the educated, it does. And for the uneducated, well, all they have to do is look it up. My 2nd grader understands it just fine, because she has me to explain it to her. But I don't think you'll bother doing that, because you already know everything, right?
Thinking. This is muddled thinking. This is thinking from like Darwin's thinking from 100 years ago, and we should know better by now. We really should know better by now. Darwin once said, if the single cell is more complex than I think it is, then all of my theories, I'm going to have to start all over again.
No, he never said that. Guys, this video is 30 minutes of inane rambling, and the person holding the camera is just filming random shit. So for brevity, I've cut it down a lot. But if you want to watch the whole thing, I've put a link in the description.
And between now and then, what we've discovered is that the single cell, if the single cell back then were, a Buick, the single cell now is a galaxy. So Darwin himself would have said, okay, back to the drawing board, none of this makes any sense. But yet we're still stuck with 100-year-old science. It's disgusting.
Evolutionary theory has been back to the drawing board many, many times, but only to refine our understanding of how populations evolve. And the fundamental foundation of biology, the theory of evolution, is still the best explanation of how populations diversify. If you have a better explanation of why allelic frequencies in a population change between generations, then go substantiate it, find evidence, get a paper published, and claim your Nobel Prize.
No one cares. Does no one care? Does no one want to know the truth? Because I want to know the truth. And this, it makes no sense. This makes me so angry. Again, angry.
Then why the fuck are you there? What's the point in paying for a ticket at a museum and then blithely walking around claiming to know better than the people who made those exhibits?
This is where it starts getting nice. This is where it starts getting good. This is where they actually put facts down and you can look at facts. because these are the animals that they've studied and have skeletons for. And so now we can start seeing about these creatures and what they did and what they were like and what are they made out of. And this is where there's actual science that we have. See?
You mean that you'll accept that a fossil is a record of an animal that lived in the past? Well, that's good, I guess, but the fact that those trilobites lived in the past and when they lived in the past is studied and scrutinized by paleontologists, scientists whom you reject for whatever reason.
Fossils, that's science. Don't tell me how they got into existence because you don't have a clue. You don't have a clue. I don't want to hear about your theories and your stupid theories about how these creatures came from one cell when you can't prove it to me. You can't prove it. No one can prove it. Oh, but well, we think that that's what happened. No, just show me the animals. Tell me about them. Don't tell me that you know exactly how they came to be because you don't. And don't tell my children that you know either. That makes me angry. I would prefer that we just tell them it's okay not to know. It's okay to say, I don't know.
You know, I say I don't know all the time, but you seem not to understand that your lack of knowledge doesn't mean your assumptions are correct.
This is really cool though, isn't it? Prehistoric ocean.
You like an artist's rendering of an ancient ocean? Huh?
Is that the weirdest looking little thing or what? Look at those little spikes on its back. Look at these cool things. Who says, how do they know this? Okay, if you're talking about 470 million years ago, these are just guesses off the top of their heads. First, I love how they write these things, like, this is what happened, for sure, this is what happened first. Listen how dumb this sounds. First, the ozone layer formed when oxygen began to accumulate in the Earth's atmosphere, provided protection from the sun's harmful radiation. Only the water had provided this protection before. How do you know this? It's a fairy tale. It's just a fairy tale. Just making it up. But we want the whole scientific community and everybody else is supposed to believe this. Meanwhile, soils had formed. How do you know? How do you know? And this is all a guess, but look at the language. Soils had formed. Not soils may have formed. Soils had formed that could nourish plant life. And so here comes the plants. Yeah, well, it's a guess. Maybe. Maybe not. But look at, no, there's no other explanation here. There's not one other explanation. Not, well, this could have happened, but maybe this happened. Maybe it all happened at once.
No, it didn't happen all at once. There would be evidence of that. And this is not guesswork. We know that without an ozone layer, the Earth would have been bombarded with ultraviolet radiation, thus killing life on the surface. If it weren't there, you wouldn't be here either. When plant life dies, it composts and provides newer generations of plants with nutrients in the soil. Those explanations are used because they're the best ones. Trust me, if creation, and I shudder to call it a theory, as it produces no results, had any credibility, then it would be there, on that plaque.
Maybe there was, maybe it was alien created. Maybe, no one knows. No one. And so this, I don't know, drives me crazy. Oh look, Earth's first land plants were small and moss-like. Oh yeah? How do you know? Did you have a video camera there? Where's the tape? I want to see the evidence. Where's the evidence? Fossils? These fossils are the evidence because you have fossils of plants? This is the evidence I'm supposed to believe that these were the first plants? How do you know?
Were you there? Were you there? Funny how you'll accept creation as a viable option when you have never ever seen an animal poofed into existence. But you absolutely refuse to accept evidence that's right in front of your face. And didn't you just say a minute ago that fossils were evidence and facts that you found acceptable? You're confusing as fuck.
And then at the very end, this is one reason scientists think land plants evolved from green algae, but what does it say here? What does it say here? They evolved from one type of algae. It doesn't say they think they did. It says they did. Then down here it says, well, they think they did. In real small, because you're not going to get down here. You're just going to read this part and go, oh, that's what happened.
Yes, in the beginning of the plaque it reads something exact, which I disagree with. No science is exact, and it doesn't have to be as long as it produces results. Does creation blither and blather produce results? No. Aside from that, scientists use a specific type of language that implies that they may be wrong, using words like think they evolved, and may have been, or could have been. This is good science, and in any case, their knowledge of the subject far surpasses yours. And if they're proven wrong, it won't be by the likes of you.
Doesn't anyone see how ridiculous this is? And we have entire buildings, look at how much money has gone into this place to talk about this. No one really knows.
Right, all the money should be dumped into exhibits just for you, lady. Because that's how that works. Throw all that scientific shit out the window. There's one soccer mom on a tirade. Hey, dude behind the camera, why don't you make a run for it? Now, when she isn't looking. You know you won't miss her. Unless she's your mom. In which case, I'm sorry that she's your mom. Go! Now!
It took around 50 million years. Why not 60?
Radiometric dating? Maybe?
70? Maybe it was 40. How do you know? Where's the video? Again, where's the video?
I want video evidence of creation. Then I'll believe it. Oh, right.
I want video evidence. This is all just guessing. All of it. There isn't one bit of evidence here. Because guess why? There's no missing links. Not all these so-called missing links, not one has been found. That is not a hoax, that is not a joke, that is not somebody's idea of a prank, or someone's idea of trying to get their theories made into laws.
Do you understand the difference between a theory and a law? I guess not, so I'll give you a short rundown. Hypotheses are generated about an event in the natural world. Facts and evidence are then gathered about said event. That either substantiates it or nullifies it. When a hypothesis is substantiated through testing many times over, it's considered to be true until proven false. The explanation of the facts and evidence of the event are theories. Laws, in science, are an event that occur in every instance of testing. Like the law of gravity, objects with mass are attracted to each other. The reasons why objects with mass are attracted to each other are called theories. But I guess you knew that already, being such a big science buff.
There is no such thing as a missing link. It doesn't exist. That's why it's called missing. That's why they're missing. We don't have any examples of plants going from one type of plant to another type of plant. All we have are examples of plants that have always been algae, that has always been algae.
We don't need transitional fossils. We have molecular phylogenetics, which is the study of genetic differences between organisms to determine divergence. This tells us that stromatolites from the Precambrian and Cambrian eras are related to present-day green algae. And by the way, they're related to you too. Stromatolites are in fact the oldest fossils on the planet.
And horsetails that have always been horsetails, and ferns that have always been ferns, that have never been anything else. But no. We're just going to continue to believe that there are missing links out there. We just haven't found them yet. That's got to be it.
You're looking at them right now. Fossilized ferns right in front of your face.
This is the stuff I like. This is the stuff I like. Real fossils about real animals that really existed and that we can look at and see and form our own opinions on. I don't like it when they tell me about stuff that they have no clue on Earth about and where nobody else is allowed to have an opinion.
You made up your mind before you even walked in there. What the actual fuck is wrong with you? You accept animal fossils, but not plant fossils? You're so ambiguous. I can't tell what's coming next.
Much like a parent with a video camera recording the first steps of their baby child, someone was around 370 million years ago to record the first steps of tetrapods from water to land. Because that's what they're telling you here. That tetrapods took their first steps around 370 million years ago. Who writes this stuff? How do they know this? They don't. This is... Eventually...
Tetrapods are a class of animal that's the last common ancestor of mammals, reptiles, and amphibians. Again, molecular phylogenetics and the fossil record show this. I'll give you the link in the description on that one.
They would move from shallow waters to land. Today, tetrapods include reptiles, birds, and mammals like you. Maybe they always had feet like that. Maybe that's the way they were made. With feet that could go, like alligators, you know, that are in the water and the land. There's no, it's not like their fins fell off and then they grew feet. That's what they want you to believe, that the fins eventually fell off and then they grew some feet and started walking on the land. This is the dumbest theory I've ever heard in my whole life. It's not good. It's really not good. It's bad.
How can you say that? Everything you've said so far shows that you know nothing about it at all.
Very bad. That would make me, you would have to, do you know how complex feet are? Feet, the human feet, are so complex that people who make robots have not been able to replicate feet. They can't make a robot with the same dimensions foot as a human being because it won't stand up. Even when they make it with the exact same specifications as a human foot to a human body, they can't make it stand up. Why? They're so complex, the muscles, the muscle structure, our toes, and everything else, all our muscles work together to keep us standing up and not falling over. Because technically, when you try to make a foot like the human foot, you can't do it. No one can do it.
Really? Fuck you in the ear, all right? We wouldn't need to use specifications like that. We can just make a better foot.
So are you telling me that it's an accident, just purely accident, fins became these incredibly complex feet? Now, I don't believe that. That's like saying a Coke can does not have a designer. Well, it's got letters on it, though. How'd they get there? Well, the letters fell from the sky, but they were in the wrong order. Eventually, over time, though, they moved, and now they say something. No one would believe you if you said that. You're supposed to believe that about feet.
Only creationists say things like that about feet, not evolutionary biologists.
They're buying it. They're buying it. Teaching it eventually. Just buying it. Buying it. 100% hook, line, sinker. Buying it.
Boy, it sure is creepy when parents want to teach their kids instead of telling them what to think. You were looking for an exit, weren't you? Go. Go now.
Everybody is just trying to get to. You have to walk through all of that just to get to the cool dinosaurs. Really, that's all people want to see. They just want to see the dinosaur bones. They don't want to see any of that, except for maybe those arthropods and stuff under the water. That was cool.
You can't pick and choose what evidence is good and what evidence is bad when you don't even have a rudimentary understanding of what you're looking at.
See, I think they should just put these things in here and let people wonder and exclaim over them. Oh, okay, so we went to the Indianapolis Children's Museum, which is a wonderful place, and they have the most real dinosaur bones in the area, I think in the country.
Right, as opposed to the fake kind.
They have the most because they have a huge lab there, and they have all these stegosaurus bones. They have some of the biggest finds at this Indianapolis Children's Museum. So we go down, there's a lab where you can watch them like taking the bones out of the casts, you know, and because they're constantly working there. And they have a skull on display that is clearly a dragon. There's no other way to describe it. It's a dragon skull. It's got...
It's not a dragon. Dragons are fictional.
Horns, like here. It's got a long snout, big pointy teeth, bumps all over its face, bones. So you can imagine that the skin was stretched over this thing. It clearly looks like the dragons of drawings. Very clear. So my kids, when we get down there, and immediately one of them says, "Mom, it's a dragon." And I look at it and I say, "My God, it is a dragon. I've never seen anything like that. It looks just like a dragon. It is. It's a dragon." And my mom says, "It's a dragon. Look at this." Well, the technician goes, "Oh, no. That's not a dragon. No. I'm like, "What do you mean it's not a dragon?" She says, "No, that's a dinosaur." Okay, well, yeah, but look at it. It looks like we know what we're talking about, right? Like a dragon with horns and the whole deal. Oh, no, it's not a dragon, no. Yeah, you gotta dash the hopes of my children, because the imagination, they can't have that.
Do you want your children to be educated or not? I vote for not. Paleontology is not contingent upon the hopes and dreams of children.
So then I ask her, "What's it called?" Now, this is the best part. "What is it called?" She says, "Dracoris Hogwartsia." You know what that means? The dragon of Hogwarts. The person who found this dinosaur got to name it, and they named it Dracoris Hogwartsia, the dragon of Hogwarts. The cover of Time magazine is sitting right next to this skull. And the cover of Time magazine, they've put skin on it to make it look like... You know what the cover of Time magazine says? Dragons.
The name of the thing is determined by the scientist that discovered it. That doesn't make it a dragon. It's still a dinosaur. And Time magazine is a pop culture magazine. It was an artist's rendering of the thing. If I told you that I saw a dragon today, would you believe me? I hope not. What's funny to me is that you will trust a Time magazine rendering of what the thing looked like based on a fossil structure. But then later you say that the rendering of Lucy is a fantasy.
And the thing is, it looks just like a dragon. We have to ask ourselves, do we believe, there's no evidence yet of flying dragons, of, fire-breathing dragons. However, there's plenty of people around the world throughout the ages who wrote these stories about dragons, who drew pictures of dragons, who said they saw dragons. And then we have this dragon skull that looks exactly like a dragon that people have drawn from the stories. And yet here's this woman in a lab coat saying to me, "That is not a dragon. No. It's a dinosaur." Just... Thank you. Ever saw a dinosaur. Of course, they can't explain why are there prehistoric drawings on caves of dinosaurs. They can't explain that. They don't even want you to know that. If you notice, we have not seen one of those here, have we? We have not seen a cave painting of dinosaurs, but they exist. They exist. And they're clearly dinosaurs. Like, they're not elephants. They have one of Stegosaurus that has the marks of the what do you call those things? The bones on the back. Okay. They have a cave painting of a brontosaurus with a big long neck. Now, how did they know what dinosaurs looked like? Perhaps they might have seen one. What are we going to say, that they dug up the bones? They were like prehistoric archaeologists digging up bones and then drawing pictures of it? No, I don't think so. Like with skin on them and everything? No, that doesn't make sense. Do you know, I did not know that that cave paintings like that existed until like 10 years ago. That's how badly they're trying to cover it up. They're trying to cover it up so badly that no one knows that they even exist. It took me 30 years to figure out that they exist. And now I'm like, wait a minute, there are cave paintings of dinosaurs? Well, that doesn't make sense. That doesn't make sense with anything that they've told us now, does it? No.
Yes, it's all a big conspiracy to cover up this. And this. And this. And this.
The cave painting looks like this. Those things on the back. Now, what other animal do you know has things like that on the back?
Just kidding. How about this?
Plates.
Those plates on the back.
Where did you see those cave paintings?
In a magazine. It was in a Creation magazine, of course, and they're going to say, oh, they made that up. They didn't make it up. They were in caves in France. Found in caves in France. So there are pictures of these things. They're everywhere. There's also some in Egypt. Egyptian hieroglyphics, they just pass right over those. We'll go to Egypt in here, and you'll see there won't be any hieroglyphics of dinosaurs on the walls, but they existed.
Kind of like these.
Anyways, I find it amusing that creationists look at this and see a stegosaurus, but then ignore the monkey man at the bottom with the long tail, fiery sword, and a giant penis. Ah, the human mind. It does wonderful things, doesn't it?
This is a fantasy. This is a fantasy, like dragons. Except dragons aren't a fantasy. But their idea of...
See? I told you she'd say that. Trust the dragon rendering, but not the Lucy one. Be consistent, you loony.
Oh, well, dragons aren't real. No, this isn't real. This is something they've just made up. Incredible.
It's like you're a child.
They evolved through the same unpredictable process as every other living thing. No, scientists don't all agree on either of those things, because there are scientists who do not agree with this, who've been studying it their whole lives. So they agree on 2 key points? No, they don't. There are gaps in the fossil record, and many fossils are fragmentary. And those gaps just happen to be the gaps that would prove this theory right. But because there are gaps, we're supposed to believe that everything they say is right. We're just supposed to ignore the fact that there are gaps. It must be right. Frankly, I think the gaps are important. And you better fill in the gaps before you tell me to believe it, because I don't believe it without the gaps filled in. And there's huge gaps here.
You do understand that evolution doesn't hinge on the fossil record, right? Fossils are rare considering how many life forms have lived and died on the planet. But there are more than enough to fill the gaps you're talking about. The genetic data shows us that we are apes. Morphology and homology shows us that we're apes. It's not just the fossil record, silly. And even if those things were proven wrong tomorrow, I still wouldn't trust you. You believe that humans and dragons walk together, for fuck's sake. Oh, it's already been brought in, lady. Guys, pretty much the rest of this video is absolutely pointless. She just walks around scoffing and saying stupid things, but I've had a lot of fun with this one. I didn't think I would do another debunk video, but this one, she absolutely deserved it. Don't forget to rate, comment, and subscribe. Thanks.